Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about angles. Now, before we get to the protractor, let's talk a little bit more basically. If I have any angle, I have a couple things to talk about. First of all, I'm going to need one vertex, which is going to be key, and that's going to be the vertex. The vertex is what's going to determine everything about this angle. That's where everything is measured from. It's a key point. Now, if that's a vertex, then we have a couple other things. This over here and this over here, those are called sides. Sides. Now, those sides usually have some sort of label on them. So let's put an A down here and a C up here. Now, with 3 points like this, I can now label this angle. Angle, and there's a little draw a little angle. ABC. I could also label it angle CBA. The kicker is that vertex has to be in the middle, so B has to be in the middle. Now, because I only have one angle and there's no question as to which angle I'm talking about, I could also just call this angle B. Now, if I had labeled it, let's call it angle, let's call it angle Bill. Okay. I could also do that. I could call it angle Bill. So it all depends on what the labels that are assigned to the angle are. Now, from this angle, we already know that we have a number of types of angles. What are the 4 types of angles? Well, the first type of angle is acute. And acute means it's an angle that is anywhere bigger than 0 but less than 90 degrees. We'll go just degrees here in this case. So this is a nice, pretty acute angle. Maybe it's 60, who knows. And then we have the next step up. So if I go from something like this that is acute to something like this, now I have a angle that equals 90 degrees. And so that, of course, is a right angle. That's a right angle, and one of the ways we can indicate right angles, if we put a little box in the corner, it shows that it is indeed a 90-degree angle. Now, if you go bigger than that, go from a 90, and let's go maybe somewhere in this ballpark. Now we're talking bigger than 90, so that's going to be 90 has to be bigger than that, but less than 180. That is obtuse. And so it's going to look like this. Maybe it's 120. We don't know, but that would be an example. Now, from there, we have one more angle. And that is if I keep rolling this angle over. This, from time to time, this would be called the initial side because this is the side that I begin my measurement from. This would be the terminal side, the one over here that's moving, the terminal side. Now, sometimes initial and terminal can be unclear because in this case, did I measure from here up or did I measure from here down? That entirely depends on how I labeled the process. So initial and terminal can be reversed depending on how your labels work. But any angle that is entirely straight across is called a straight angle. And that's where x equals 180 degrees. So in this case, you would have ABC, but ABC, the whole thing is 180 degrees. That's a straight angle. And you say, well, what if I keep on trucking? What if I keep on going past straight angle? Well, now you're just obtuse angle, but you're now obtuse in this portion. So it switches over and it becomes right angle, then it becomes acute angle. Then you have no angle at 0, and then it becomes acute again, and on and around she goes. So to give you an idea of what we're talking about with 4 types of angles. Now, let's also learn to measure an angle. Well, how do you measure an angle? You can do so constructively with a protractor. Now, a protractor is this shape right up here. Now, a protractor is going to have some sort of indicator in the middle. May have a line, may have a hole, may have a dot at any point. But the idea is you're going to lay this protractor on the angle such that the vertex is right here, and one of the sides goes through either 0 or 180. Now, obviously, if all I have to this angle is this much here, it is certainly not the 180 I'm interested in, it's the 0. And so it measures 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and I can measure this way. Now, if I were measuring from the opposite side, if I have an acute angle from the opposite side, I would not call that 170 degrees. I would call that 10. So using the inside and outside allows the protractor to be used both ways. In this case, We have an angle here. This angle moves up through this, and these little marks right here are called the degrees. And we seem to be going through 50 degrees right here. That certainly wouldn't be considered 130 because it is an acute angle, not an obtuse angle. Now, if I do have a different angle labeled on here, let's go ahead and throw a different angle on here. Let's still start here. Let's still go over through 0, but now let's go up through here. At this point, we have something that is definitively obtuse. So we're not going to read the outside line. We're going to read the inside line. We're going to say that's 100, that's 110, but it's not to 120. Looks to me be about 117 degrees. So it gives you an idea on how to use a protractor, the different types of angles.